That homecoming loss to UCLA was actually so bad that there's not even a debate anymore. This just straight up is not working out here.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. It's Mazda, move and be moved. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing on this joyous, just outstanding weekend of sports here, especially if you're also a Tigers fan. Hopefully the Lions can get it done tonight, but we'll see. What we do know is that Michigan State football is, oh boy, they are in the dumpster right now, and there is just an ever-flowing faucet of gasoline going into it with just a match being thrown in every 5 minutes, it feels like. Yeah, guys, let's just start right here, right now, and this brings me no joy to announce because this means I got to eat crow. This means I got to say that I was wrong. We could all pretty definitively say that this is not working out here. And I know that's still early. I know that we might be just jumping to conclusions. We're just 6 games in to the second year of a pretty massive rebuild. I mean, let's not sell this short of how big of a project this was. But my God, when you are failing all 5 phases of coaching and the program, well, how else are we supposed to feel right now? And that's right. We're gonna start this with like a cute little thing I'm trying to do because you might be saying to yourself, Matt, what are you talking about? There's 3 phases of football. It's offense, it's defense, it's special teams. But let's unlock 2 other doors. We're gonna start with one of them right now, and that is what I'm just really most shocked at right now is the lack of culture or energy or identity going on with Michigan State football. Now, this is something that was completely absent during the Mel Tucker era, obviously, right? It's, okay, what Michigan State team are you ever going to get? What is their identity here? And when you see Oregon State's football teams, which I actually watched a lot of, I mean, I always joke about this, but it's actually not a joke at all. I watched many Beavers games trying to chase losing bets from the rest of the day earlier. And then, hey, Jonathan Smith's Oregon State team would save me because they looked disciplined. They played a physical brand of football. They weren't just talking the talk. They were also walking the walk. This, I have no clue what Michigan State's identity is. They arguably look even more sloppy and disinterested than any of the years previous to this. I just cannot believe the lack of energy that is going on with this team. No life. There's one team on the sideline there that had to travel over across the country to play a game at 9 a.m., and then there was another one that was playing in front of their home crowd, thirsty, should be starving for a win. And you would never guess looking at those 2 sidelines. I mean, Matt Seibert, former tight end for Michigan State, he's been on this show. He had a great call out in the tweet that I have to point this out, is that Malik Spencer, he laid the wood on a pretty big hit. I believe it was the second quarter. Not a soul is going up to him, like tapping his helmet, chest bumping him, or whatever celebration that you want to do these days. It is just a lifeless, dare I say, careless product out there. This does not seem like a team that is banded together by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just shocked to see it just already flatlining this early into the rebuild. And we got some emails, we got some tweets. I got a text from someone that said, hey, you know what? I was in the stadium where, hey, I was sitting behind the bench. You would never guess a game was even being played if you just watched the sidelines. And that's not even Jonathan Smith, who has a well-storied, like, no emotion attitude. It just bleeds over to the players. You can't have this halfway through the season. We understood it last year when you got into November. The season was already kind of a lost cause. Sure, some guys want to tap out of the season. Disappointing. You at least understood it. This... inexcusable to be looking like this so far. And what it drives me even crazier, and this is why that I'm ready to just jump to the conclusion, oh yeah, this is not going to work out, and maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. And which brings me no joy because, look, I appreciate Jonathan Smith that he answered every question in the postgame press conference head on. He seems very professional. All around seems like a nice guy. But the compliments for him stop there. Because last week, the Nebraska game, where Aiden Childs is getting his face mauled off by every Nebraska defensive lineman, and they don't make any changes at the tackle position, as if that wasn't bad enough. You hear Jonathan Smith in the postgame press conference say, oh, we didn't see any glaring issues with that. Okay. Now you fast forward to what happened just the other night against UCLA in the postgame press conference, he's saying, oh yeah, like, I'm not, this isn't verbatim, but something along the lines of, oh, I didn't think our energy was an issue. Like, we weren't up to the standard of what UCLA had. We didn't match their energy, but yeah, I don't think our energy or focus was an issue. How is it possible that I'm watching on a television and I could tell that the energy and focus is a massive issue right now with this team, but the head coach can't? Like, how many more things is this guy just going to miss that are right in front of him? That's just unbelievable to me. But anyway, let's get into the other three phases of the game, because it's not just all the rah-rah, where's the energy? Hey, become a physical football team instead of one that just can't block, always loses one-on-one matchups, yada, 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 because let's talk about the offense and how this is just a incredibly massive disappointment so far this season, which is, I mean, egg on my face. I was fooled after the first 4 games. I was fooled with the passing game. I thought Michigan State was moving the ball on really well, and I really was sold on it after that USC game because they still hung up north of 30 points, and that was with facing a ton of pressure. The offense still did their job, and my goodness gracious, the last 2 games, they look just as bad as last year for most of the stretch of the season. Guys, like, this isn't an overreaction. The reason I'm so impassioned about this right now with the offense is because the other side of the field, UCLA, this is no exaggeration, this is no hyperbole, came into that game as the worst Power 4 defense in college football. And that is through so many statistical categories, guys, right? And also just looking at their depth chart. That's not a deep group. That's a very thin group and one that sucks. So getting 7 points, I know they scored 13, but 7 when the game was still irrelevant. Sure, you want to call it 13. Getting 13 points against that UCLA team, a team that was dead last in run defense, a team that was dead last in rushing the quarterback. Looking like that is inexcusable, unacceptable, and just a beacon that is letting you know that this is certainly not working out. You return your offensive coordinator. Your head coach is an offensive-minded guy. You bring in the quarterback's coach from Oregon State in the offseason. All for it to just turn into what seems to be what's left in a toilet after a hard night of drinking, after 4 games of the season. New Mexico had 200 more yards of offense against UCLA than Michigan State had. And Michigan State had the comfort of playing in their home stadium. Like, it is insanely discouraging and helpless that you couldn't even block properly against UCLA. You couldn't run the ball properly against UCLA. You couldn't pass the ball properly against UCLA. I cannot stress. Actually, I think I have stressed enough at this point, because that's all we talked about last week is how horrible this defense is. The fact that you only got 7 points before, the game was out of hand, outrageous. And Jonathan Smith talked about it after the game too. He said we missed a lot of one-on-one blocking assignments, which, I don't know. It's rhetorical and non-rhetorical. How does that even happen? And then also that we need to get Aiden Childs throwing in rhythm better. This is second game in a row where the pass offense hasn't looked too good. And you know what? Like, hey, I caused a stir last week because I said, yeah, Aiden Childs didn't play that great, but I think a lot of other factors were in there. He didn't get blocking, which is still very relevant. The wind wasn't helping him whatsoever. I got no more excuses for this one. That was just all around bad by Childs. Is he getting proper blocking protection? No. But you also got to hit your open receivers that are down the sideline and could walk in an 85-yard touchdown should you connect with him. But yay, Jonathan Smith said it himself. We got to get him in rhythm better. Well, golly gee willikers. As if it's like not your job to do so. So the offense is going nowhere. The culture is going nowhere. The defense, I swear to God, I'm listening to the postgame show earlier today in the kitchen on my phone, and I almost frisbeed my phone through the pane glass window when I heard them talking about, we just had more defensive miscues, guys not lined up properly. It's the 6th game of the season. How is that even somewhat acceptable here? How can you even say that and not turn red in the face either out of anger or embarrassment? We're talking alignment issues in week 7, game number 6 of the season. This is stuff that you maybe run into year 1 of a rebuild, not year 2. We didn't go through the whole offseason of hearing quotes from the players and the coaches about how much better the defense is going to look and how much more familiar everyone is in the 2nd year of this defense. All to have it just be excuse after excuse of, we're just not lined up properly. We got to fix that. No, you should have fixed that in the summer. And the fact that you didn't lets me know that this coaching staff is not properly equipped for a rebuild. We got 2 other phases that we got to get to, guys. One will be quick. The other one will be not so quick, but hey. Let's talk about Mazda because, hey, if there's something going right here, it's Mazda's vehicles. That's right, guys. We're talking their SUVs, all-wheel drive, standard on every single one. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it is about redefining it. These are the moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. Now, this is the part where they say, hey, the host has to cover a game highlight, spotlight a player, maybe even a coach. Respectfully, Mazda, no, I can't do any of that. So we're going to highlight the fans because that stadium was packed for homecoming. In even already what seemed to be kind of bordering on a lost season, Spartan faithful still sold that place out. 70,000 strong. They stuck with it. So we're going to give the Mazda moving the game forward award to the fans here. When you follow what moves you, which is apparently Michigan State football for all of us, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It's Mazda move and be moved. Also, guys, hey, let's get ready for basketball season or hockey season, even though that first game didn't go so well, with Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall has the largest selection of officially licensed gear. We're talking all the top brands like Nike, Columbia, Champion, Yeti, New Era, so much more, guys. And they have apparel for the entire family. We're talking itty-bitty kids to the adults, and plus a huge selection of hats, gifts, all the tailgating gear you could ever need to make your setup the best in the lots this season. And they really take care of the Spartan community. Michigan State students, faculty, as well as military and all first responders get 10% off of the valid ID in the store. So what are you waiting for, guys? Pop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in Lansing near the Apple Store, or shop online or through their app. That's right, the Alumni Hall app. And the best part is, for every $150 you spend, you're going to get $10 in Hall cash to use for the next time. So what are you waiting for out there? Grab that new game day look or upgrade your tailgate with Alumni Hall, your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination. The great Dante Rosano. Now, he is a former Michigan State player. He currently does a podcast with the guy you might know, Brian Lewerke, also Tyler Higbee. They do fantastic work. Now, we've had Dante on the show a few times, and he might be joining this week too. But one thing that he said that really resonated with me a few months ago is that special teams are a reflection of just how sound you are as a program. Sounds cliche, sounds corny, but I firmly believe that. So the fourth phase that Michigan State is failing in, it's special teams. They're sloppy. They don't look like they know what they're doing. You saw it last week when they couldn't line up properly against Nebraska, had to redo the punt again, and they damn near got Ryan Eckley killed back there when they had to redo that punt. This week, not much better. Look, maybe I went a little too hard on Christian McCray for even thinking of returning that kickoff, getting Michigan State saddled at the 12 or 13-yard line. But still, I think that it's a good coaching point to, hey, when you don't have a really solid return game, maybe just fair catch it. Let's bring this ball out to the 25-yard line. What I'm really more upset about, and I'm probably going to guess that you're upset about this too, is the single most obvious fake punt probably ever ran, not in the history of UCLA football, not in the history of Big Ten football, but maybe collegiate football. Every single person in the stadium, except for 11 players, knew that that was going to be a fake punt. And, of course, UCLA picks up, 20, 30 yards on it. Eventually turns it into a touchdown because, one team executed and made the most of their opportunities, and it was not our Michigan State Spartans. So that was the fourth phase. The fifth phase that we are also failing in, and we're going to go to the wonderful world of recruiting right now. Woohoo! Get your party hats on for this one. It's not going well. Just like it didn't really go well last year, as Michigan State barely snuck into the top 50 nationally for recruiting. But hey, this year, you're making more inroads, you're making more relationships. Hey, kids are starting to visit when they're juniors. They're going to be seniors this year. Hey, hopefully that's a lot of goodwill you've built up. And that goodwill has been so built up that it has led to four-star Tyron Wortham. He decommitted. This was about 2 weeks ago. And then right before the weekend, four-star linebacker out of Colorado, Braylon Hodge. He decommits, and now he's down to Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. And if that wasn't good enough, as if losing Tyron Wortham, Braylon Hodge, and slipping from 28 to 36 overall in the rankings, how about this little bit of recruiting news from the great state of Michigan? That's right. Detroit Catholic Central's own Samson Gash, four-star speed demon wide receiver. He's visiting Alabama next month, so that's a good soft launch for a decommitment right there. Sure, we can lie to ourselves and say that, hey, maybe he stays in the fold. Just because he's visiting doesn't mean that he's decommitting, but I'm going to look at this like an adult, and I'm going to see the writing on the wall. Yeah, recruiting ain't good. You lose Samson Gash, guys, you're going to slip from 36 overall in the nation down to 42 between West Virginia and Vanderbilt. So, yeah, as if this season isn't bleak enough. Well, get ready for the barely top 50 recruiting class to become sophomores, and then this crop of freshmen that won't even be in the top 40. So look, it's not a fun way to talk about it. It sounds like I'm slandering a bunch of high school kids, but we're having an honest dialogue about where we stand here as a program. So from the culture, from the lack of identity, the offense, the defense, the special teams, the recruiting, find me any light on this tunnel. Please, no, like actually find me any light on this tunnel, because I've held Jonathan Smith stock for longer than anyone else I know has. I want this to work out, but it's also my job to be real with you and never lie to you. I would never say anything that's disingenuous. I'm fully at the point right now where I just do not see a way this works out. That's how bad of a loss it was against UCLA. I said this yesterday during our little halftime recap, which ended up being the game recap, but there is a palatable way to, I guess, digest a loss to UCLA. Maybe they kick a last-second field goal. Maybe some super wonky things happen. Getting your teeth kicked in and sitting there, not even bothered by it, to the tune of 38-13. No, there ain't nothing appetizing about that. That's just an all-around calamity, and that's probably the worst Michigan State loss. Maybe not too far, actually, because we've had our good share of really bad losses here. Maybe it's just a few years ago when they couldn't make the field goal from 20 whatever yards out to beat Indiana to go to a bowl game. But man, that was actually a loss so bad that it's probably like maybe a blessing that there really is no debate now of where we go from here. Because I think we're all aligned here. We're all on the same page that, this ain't it. As much as I love those post-game shows with USC and then Nebraska, where the fan base was kind of split in the conversation, ain't no more split going on right here. I don't even know if any members of the Jonathan Smith family would even be putting up a fight with this right now. But guys, we did get a few. Actually, I was gonna say we got a few questions at lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Saturday, doubled, if not tripled, the record for how many emails we've got in the post game. But here's one of them. Jason wrote in a few questions. We're just going to stick to one right now. But this goes to what we were just talking about with recruiting here. He writes in, you didn't see it on TV, but we had several recruits on the sidelines before the game. What does a game like this do to our recruiting efforts? Any chance they are motivated to come to state so they can be the game changer? I just don't think that's reality. I'm sure there are some kids like that. Right? Like, hey, maybe it's a hometown kid. They want to, fix the program they grew up rooting for, perhaps. I don't think that's a reality, though. Maybe if they're kids that were like Michigan State is their only Power 4 offer or one of the only Power 4 offers where they're kind of pigeonholed into having to come here, which it's the kind of recruits that the staff goes after. Yeah, maybe. But no, I got to say, a lifeless beatdown to a team as bad as UCLA, with fans booing the team as they go into the locker room at halftime. And I'm not slandering the fans here. Look, I know it sounds ridiculous. I don't disagree with the boos. I think that those fans that have been sitting through some horrible, horrible Michigan State football the last few years, I'm not going to say it's the right thing to do, but I certainly can't oppose it or talk down to them and say, how dare you? No, I could absolutely see how you would dare to do that. That was just undescribably unacceptable from what we saw on Saturday. So no, I don't think that's healthy for any recruit to see personally, but I also don't think seeing coaching staffs not develop anyone from year over year or establish an identity or establish a culture, I don't think that's healthy actually either. So I know it's not the rosiest of answers right there, Jason, but no, I don't think so. We're going to talk about the James Franklin firing. And if that helps Michigan State, If that hurts Michigan State, does it light a fire under Michigan State? Will it not light a fire under Michigan State? But first, guys, you need to talk your ears off about FanDuel Sportsbook. That's right, guys. Boy, howdy. The NFL season is here. We already know college football season is here. If you want to make that more exciting, if you want to stay somewhat involved in college football, I guess FanDuel is a good way to go about that. But any way you slice it, if you're a new customer, it gets pretty sweet for you. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, guys. Pick a bet. Put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Guys, whether you're a casual fan or hey, if you want to dive into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for out there? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Also, guys, Monarch Money, they're here to save you that cash because most people, I get it, they can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments, whatever it is. If you don't have the full picture, you're going to end up leaving money on the table, and that is where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in a clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet, guys. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Again, guys, monarchmoney.com. So I've been pretty loud in the fact that, yes, I understand the whole Firesmith tribe. I think out of the first 20 minutes of the show, probably realized that, yeah, I would like to see this whole thing just stop right now. But it's that silly little buyout that has me saying I do not expect it to happen because, hey, Saturday, Michigan State gets rolled. We talk about Michigan State would have to pay Jonathan Smith roughly $31 million to see him go. And then a few bit more million for the assistants because they have smaller buyouts too that pile up. And then you're going to have to go out and spend a lot of money for another coach, maybe somewhere in the ballpark of $60, $70 million if you really want to make a good, strong hire. And then you're going to need an NIL pool, a good assistant pool. We're talking fundraising up to like way north of $100 million to make this happen. And then something happens on Sunday that would make Jonathan Smith's buyout be the second highest buyout in college football history to the third highest buyout because James Franklin, yes, Penn State, my God, they actually did it. They gave James Franklin, roughly $55 million to never coach for them ever again. My God, that's the best job in the world. Fired college football coach. But that got me thinking, does Penn State saying, yes, we are going to pay him north of $50 million to never see him walk on our sidelines ever again, will that help Michigan State? Does that light a fire under Jay Batt, the donors that will be footing the bill for all this? Because that could light a fire. That could let them know that, okay, that's a serious football program. Happy Valley has no problem scraping enough change off the ground to get James Franklin out for a massive, massive sum. What's $30 million? You know, and there's talk, I believe it was Darren Rovell had the tweet that $50 million for a buyout in the grand scheme of things with how much money is about to be poured into college football as if there's not enough, that's about to be pennies here. Does Michigan State see that and say, you know what? Yeah, game on. We want to be taken seriously too. We're going to fundraise. We're going to buy out Jonathan Smith. We're going to hit the reset button here. Now, thanks to David Hartz, who does great work over there at Spartans Illustrated, he gave us the skinny details on how would the buyout even work. Like, is it lump sum? Is he getting 50% up front and then 50% throughout the next few months or years? Here's what it comes out to, according to David Hartz. Roughly a $300,000 check every month to Jonathan Smith for the next 5 years. My God, I really wish I was a college football coach. I mean, I love doing the podcast. Nothing beats that, though, being a fired college football coach. So that's what it would be. I think that's a little bit better than a lump sum. This is just my opinion. I don't know this factually, but that seems to be more digestible for Michigan State here, if that's you. Or could this hurt Michigan State, actually, firing James Franklin? Because I got to say, like, we had the conversation with Chris Vanini not too long ago that this might not be the cycle that you want to get into making a coaching hire, because here's what programs are already available right now. We're like barely just about the halfway point of the season. You already have Penn State open, obviously. You have an SEC school in Arkansas open. You have Oklahoma State. You have Virginia Tech. Might seem harmless, but hey, that's a Power 4 school. And this is not even to say the teams that haven't formally gotten in the coaching pool sweepstakes yet, because is Florida going to fire Billy Napier eventually? Maybe. North Carolina, that seems like a dead man walking situation. No one's having a good time in Chapel Hill. Wisconsin, if they're going to foot the bill for Luke Fickell's big buyout, they could join the mix. Florida State, I don't know how many people are thrilled with Mike Norvell lately. Kentucky, that'd be another SEC opening. There's going to be a lot of big name openings. Can Michigan State get in there? Do they have the finances to not just foot Jonathan Smith's bill, but also become one of the more lucrative options for these coaches that are going to be out there? That is both a rhetorical and non-rhetorical question. I'm not sure. And this is all at a university. And this is boring talk. You're going to yawn. You might even fall asleep listening to this. But Michigan State has had an initiative that they're going to try to cut their budget by 9% over the next 2 years because of inflation, rising healthcare costs, what have you, all that boring stuff. But boy, there's a lot of departments that are making a lot of cuts in the actual school, because that's what Michigan State is. I forget that sometimes. Does it make sense to dump about $140, $150 million collectively into the football program? To me, yeah, of course, yeah. Like, what do I care about the chemistry building? What do I care about the British history lessons? Who cares? Now, give me a good football program, but I don't think the people that actually matter might be thinking that too. So the whole James Franklin thing is fascinating, and of course, it spurs the conversation. Whether it's that people are doing it just to, have a hypothetical conversation, or if they think it's going to be a legitimate option, does James Franklin come to MSU? Would Michigan State try to get James Franklin? Now, here's my first thought immediately is that if I'm James Franklin, I just got paid 55-ish. I might be off by a few million. I'm getting paid north of $50 million to not coach, to not be on the sideline. Why in the world would I start looking for work immediately? I'm going to take the next few years to golf as many beautiful courses around this country as I possibly can. Maybe he has a fishing addiction. I don't know. Whatever hobby he has, I think I'd do that in the next few years instead of coming to East Lansing and trying to resurrect what is objectively probably, like, on the field, the worst team in Power 4 football. Now, resources-wise, Michigan State is still, fine. They're in the Big Ten. They have good resources. But it's hard to argue that Michigan State isn't even in the conversation of one of the worst Power 4 teams after you get run off your own field by UCLA. I just don't know how intriguing that would be for James Franklin, who just got paid a butt ton of money. He's not hurting for cash, okay? He doesn't need anything to fill his time, just if he has a hobby, or he's probably going to take a TV gig somewhere. So first and foremost, with the James Franklin conversation, starts there. If I'm him, I ain't working another day the rest of my life. But here's the other thing, too. I'm not a college football coach. I'm not a, competitive wacko like some of these guys are. Yeah, I'm a competitive person, but these guys take it up to another gear. Could he be dying of thirst of coaching football this quickly? And would it make sense here at Michigan State? We talked yesterday because we got the question during the halftime recap show, would you take James Franklin? My quick answer was, if another school is paying him $50 million to not be there, no, I don't want that. But as I think about it a little more, I'm not entirely dismissive of it. Because James Franklin, strong recruiter. We obviously need that here at Michigan State. And yes, you're going to need a good NIL pool to also sweeten the deal with a guy like James Franklin, or any coach for that matter. But he's also specifically recruited Detroit really well. How many times did Penn State rug pull a recruit from Michigan State because, he's just that good in this area? I don't know. In a perfect world, if he didn't just get paid $50 million or whatever it is, yeah, bring him over. Because I guess winning 8-9 games a season is better than whatever we've been doing the last few years. So yeah, I've already flipped my opinion on that. Is it my top guy that I would want? No, I'd rather go with Golish down at South Florida. I mean, that seems like a guy with Ohio roots. He's doing great things for that Bulls program. That's probably where I would start. But again, Florida might be open pretty soon. That Penn State job's going to be very, very appealing to a lot of the top names. I'm going to take Franklin. Yeah, you can talk me into it. Do I think he's a goofball? Yeah, I do, but whatever. At least he has a personality. That's the baseline that we're at. At least he has a personality. And also, guys, I did not name this school, which is also very interesting here because they're not a Power 4 school anymore. But Oregon State, after an 0-7 start, they have parted ways with Trent Bray. Now, that was the defensive coordinator under Jonathan Smith, took over the head coaching duties. Now, here's the interesting thing, is that we all know the buyout number for Jonathan Smith. It's like 31, 32, 33-ish million-ish dollars. It's a lot. But if another school comes in and they want Jonathan Smith, they would just have to pay Michigan State $3 million. Like that $30 million plus buyout tag is gone. So is it possible? Is there a world where Oregon State, they go to Jonathan Smith and say, hey, come back home. Enough of the nonsense. This ain't working for you. You don't even seem like you like it. More than half your coaching staff is from Oregon State anyway. Just bring the gang back to Corvallis. And you know what? J-Bad might even go in his own pocket and pay that $3 million buyout on the Beavers' behalf right there. So I really think that's interesting. Do I think that Oregon State is ready to just, stumble over themselves, crawling over here to help Michigan State get out of their situation? No, we really kind of screwed them over hiring Jonathan Smith in the first place. So I don't think that they'd be really jonesing to help Michigan State out. But my God, that would be really helpful. If it was just, you know what, let's bring the homecoming back. Jonathan Smith, you could just keep on trying to rebuild what you had here a few years ago. We don't have the resources of other Power 4 teams, but that also means expectations and stakes would be really low. Come do it at a place that you're comfortable with, Jonathan Smith. Come on home. So that's not a 0% chance that happens. Is it north of 50%? No, I don't think so. Is it even north of 20%? No. But it's a conversation topic that I think is worth entertaining. So if you want hope, I guess that's your hope right there. All right, guys. Hope is a fun 4-letter word. Oh, man, I said a lot of other 4-letter words this weekend. Didn't we all? All right, guys, we will be back this week. We're going to keep talking about the state of the program. We might get into some basketball recruiting here if there's any Ethan Taylor news. For some reason, we're going to break down Indiana, Michigan State this upcoming Saturday as if anyone's going to watch that game. With Jacob Goings, who just does fantastic work at Locked On Hoosiers, I would pay any sum of money to swap places with him this football season. No, that's not true. Come on. Being a Michigan State Spartan's the best. All right, guys. Love every single one of you. Take care of yourselves. Let's just try to smile at least once this week.